Hello everyone, my name is Cindy Collins and I'm a teacher here at North Magoffin Elementary in Magoffin County. This is my first time doing a KVEC grant, so wish me luck. Um, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about what I am hoping to accomplish with this grant that I've entitled Paperless Math. It is trying to take and eliminate all paper inside of a classroom for a math class. And if you've ever taught math, then you know that that challenge is extremely hard. But it's my hope that I can do this in a way where my virtual students and my in-class students will be able to communicate with me but through showing their work, because I can't get their papers from them when they're at home. Now I can when they're here, but that would be a disadvantage to my children at home. So I'm trying to find a way to bridge that to where my virtual students and my in-class students are getting everything that they need. Now, with this paperless math, KVEC has enabled me to purchase digital notebooks. Now, what these digital notebooks do is they will allow me to see, this is just kind of overview, they will allow me to see my students' work and be able to communicate with them with some of the mistakes they're making and enable me to help them in ways that they need help. So we'll jump right in and I'll kind of tell you a little bit about this paperless math as we go. Okay, how do I plan to engage the students? Now, there's many students that face a lot of difficulties in math, and just getting them to work with you or interact with you inside a classroom is hard. So how am I going to engage students that are not even with me? Because when they're in the classroom with me, I can create a personal relationship between the two of us, which allows them to engage with me easier. But they're not there with me. I'm not able to share with them some of my experiences. I'm not able to pull them in with little stories that keep them entertained, that keep them engaged with me. So I'm going to have to take these students who struggle with math because it's hard and it's concepts that they just never mastered. So now that these concepts are getting even more and more progressed, their knowledge is still not high enough to catch up. I'm going to have to try and work with students who may have a learning disability in math. How do I accommodate their work to meet their needs? How do I even get kids who have just a complete lack of interest? I mean, they're just completely unmotivated in any way. How can I pull them in with me through this hard time? And it's my hope that these digital notebooks will kind of do that, because they're not having to keep up with 15 different papers to try and take a picture of and upload one at a time. It's frustrating, it's hard, and a lot of them just not going to do it. So I'm hoping that if I can take the paper out and allow technology to do that part of their life for them, then I think that I'll reduce that lack of interest, that hard I don't want to do. That's my hope. Now, there's several reasons that students can become disengaged in math. Now, these are four that I have found in my 12 years of teaching math. Students just seem to think that math is completely irrelevant to them. Why do we need math? What am I going to do with it? I mean, Miss Cindy, I'm not going to use equations when I get out of school. Well, you may not in some ways, but then there's a lot of things that you will use, is what I tell them. So my hope is through this digital notebook, I can find ways in which they can express to me through drawings, through writings, through numbers, whatever it may be, so that I can show them that, yes, math does become relevant to you. Yes, you do need it. There's no sense in having this boredom and lack of effort, because you're going to need it eventually in some way, form, or fashion. You may not use all of it, but you'll use some of it. A lot of students that I've seen, this is a really common one, feel isolated. Sometimes when I'd look around the room, I would have one kid most times who would be kind of watching everyone around them. And it brought me back to when I was in class and I would have difficulties. My difficulty was spelling. I was terrible at spelling. Hated it when my teacher would have us get up and start spelling words. I remember the very first time that I had to spell the word first out loud. I kept spelling it F-R, and my teacher kept shaking his head no. That's kind of what these kids are feeling in this classroom. They're sitting there with math and they're looking around. Everyone's doing their work, but they're not. They're struggling with it. So they feel like they're kind of all alone in that. So I'm hoping that with these digital notebooks, it'll take some of that away. Because if they want to leave me a little note in that notebook that just says, Miss Cindy, I just don't get this, it will allow us to communicate without anyone around us knowing that. Some students just feel as if math is not just being a benefit, but like no one cares. The teacher's not trying to fix what they don't have. And they just kind of feel as if, well, why do I do it? Why do I do it? No one's really trying to help me. So with this digital notebook, I'm hoping that we can kind of take some of that away, because these kids are at home. Parents sit down to help a student with sixth grade math. You cannot imagine the phone calls I have gotten with, if this is Common Core, we need to get rid of it. Or I've not done this since I was in high school. Well, no, you may not have, but these kids have to. So I'm hoping that with this digital notebook, we can just have a more openness between me and the student. A lot of kids feel that math can be tedious. This really comes into play when we get into expressions and equations here in sixth grade, because they're a work of order of operations. Well, if you have a long equation or you have a long expression, it takes quite a bit of time before you can get to that answer. Kids hate steps. Kids of nowadays are, this is the start, I want to the finish without having to do but maybe one thing in between. Well, we know that that's not the case. So I'm hoping that with these digital notebooks, that maybe they will find a way to even create a design as they're working. Who knows? Just anything to help them keep engaged with this math. Now, here's my action plan to engage these students. Right now, I'm doing hybrid teaching. Okay, so I have some students in class, I have some students at home, and they still have to stay motivated. So with this digital notebook, I'm hoping that I can create projects in which they will use these over and over. They'll be able to fill up their pages, erase it, go back and do it again. Because kids, I don't know, I guess it's been so long since I've been a kid, I don't realize how fun it can be to make words disappear off of a page. Middle school students, which is what sixth grade is, even though they're here in the elementary school, they're kind of at that place where they want to please the teacher, but then they don't want to please the teacher. They kind of want to seem as if they know it all. Well, with this digital notebook, I'm hoping that the ones that are kind of pulled back and wanting to show everything that they know, fine, go ahead, show me all that you know. But let me see where your mistakes may be. Let me see where your strengths may be. If I don't have these notebooks and they don't send this work to me through technology today, I'm never going to know that. All I'm going to see is a problem and an answer. How do I know that those students really got that answer? The biggest challenge that I have seen so far with math and technology and going paperless was, how in this world do you sit down at a computer with a keyboard, with a mouse, and try and write out a problem? If you've ever tried to write a problem out with your mouse, or even write your name with your mouse, it's chicken scratch by the time they're done. And the kids are like, I can't read it. They can't read it. I sure can't read it. And making division signs, there is no key for a student to find a division sign. Yeah, there's some apps that you can install, but a lot of schools block so many apps. So how do you get through that? Because they're not going to unblock them for you. So with this digital notebook, I'm hoping to eliminate that. I'm going to be able to see all their work. They're going to be able to do it in their own handwriting. They're going to be able to use all those math symbols that they may need. So the paper is gone, but the technology is not stopping us from achieving what we need to achieve. Now I'm going to introduce you to this digital notebook. And a lot of people know it as a Rocket Book, but I chose to get one that was a little cheaper so that I could have more for my class. And it was easier to erase. A digital notebook is just simply a regular type notebook, but it has special paper, okay? You can use a gel pen to write in this notebook. No other pen's going to work, just the gel pen. And what they'll do is they'll write on it, and then there's an app that they will install called Can Scanner. and it's a really, really nice app. It's free, and the kids will take a picture of their work, of their notebook, and it automatically cuts it, it crops it, it cleans it, and all they do is push a couple buttons and it's stored into their iCloud, into their Google Drive, which is what we use. We use Google Classroom. So the ability to send it straight to their Google Drive is awesome. There's even an ability to send it straight to Google Classroom, but we've not really started to work with that yet. And it's so easy to erase these things. You just put a hairdryer on it. Well, these kids thought it was the most awesome thing in the world when I pulled out a hairdryer, and I'll have to record that and let you see that for the next time. And just that heat will make that ink disappear. It blows their mind. They think it's the neatest thing. And here's a picture of the cover, the box that it comes in. And you can see there's so many different things that they can do with it. I love the way they show all this math. This is not possible on a computer. The kids cannot do this on a computer. So this art, I love it. I just love it. And here shows how it is a hot erasable. It's an upload and share. Another thing, it's totally unplugged. You don't have to charge it. You don't have to make sure. You just need that pin. You just got to make sure you have that pin. We have had them for a couple of days. Here's the cover of it. It's a much longer than it looks, a lot taller, but the picture kind of cropped it down. Here is some work that one of my students started. Now, she's actually in class, so I'm being able to see how they're using it, plus getting it from the ones at home. It shows me all of her work. If she has a mistake, I can see where her mistake is. She's showing me how she's dropping her numbers to complete this division problem. This is just a great piece of technology for any teacher, especially a math teacher. Now, this student, I picked her picture because when she first used it, her mom told me, she came home and was like, Mom, you got to see this, and was showing her how the app would work, how the erasing would work. So in the hands of these students, I've seen in just a couple of days, their want to use it is right there. Now, if I can keep them focused on using it for math, well, then I will have achieved almost the impossible. But that's my hope, is to keep them engaged, make them want to do their work at home and in class, because they know they get to watch it just kind of disappear after they've saved it. And at the end, it's always, this is my goal at the end of every day. Did I increase their knowledge and their understanding of these concepts? Did I teach it in a way that is kind of rooted inside of them? These digital notebooks will allow me to see that when they're doing their work later. Now, this is kind of how I plan to collect my data. Last year, like I said, for the last couple of years, I've tried to go paperless. So the challenge was really, really large for us. And at the end of the year, my kids were actually more capable of doing the NTI that we had to when COVID kind of sprung up on us. So they kind of worked through it pretty good. So this year, I'm hoping that students will think, well, you know what? This year was not hard at all. I was able to do my work. Miss Cindy kept up with us. She showed us videos. She's seen what we were doing. She knows why I messed up here. That's what I want. I want this to be beneficial to my students. Yes, it helps me. Yes, it takes a lot of work off of me. I will give you that. But it has to be beneficial to these students. It has to bridge that gap of math and the challenge of technology. It has to bridge the gap of these kids being willing to show me their work. A little later on, once we've used a little while, I'll video some students and let you see kind of how it works, and show you some pros and cons according to them with this notebook, and getting rid of traditional paper. But that's pretty much paperless math in a quick little compressed version of it. I hope to show you more, and wish me luck.